Welcome back to CIA Declassified. In our journey through the declassified files, we have seen the agency manipulate the natural world with animal spies and turn their own soldiers into living laboratories. But some of their most delicate work didn't happen in a forest or a gas chamber. It happened on the factory floor. In post-war Europe, the battle for the soul of the continent was being fought by men in grease-stained overalls. The Soviets were using labor unions as a Trojan horse for communism. To fight back, the agency didn't use soldiers, they used organizers. This was Project CEDAR. It was the secret architecture of the working class, built with American dollars and hidden in the pockets of union bosses. If you want to stop a revolution, you have to control the people who start them. Project CEDAR was an agency-run operation focused on providing covert financial and organizational support to non-communist labor unions in Italy, France, and West Germany to counteract the influence of the Soviet-backed World Federation of Trade Unions. A quote from a declassified 1951 National Security Council report. The control of the labor movement in Western Europe is a prerequisite for the success of the Marshall Plan and the stability of the Atlantic Alliance, end quote. The agency utilized the Free Trade Union Committee as a front, funneling millions of dollars to hand-picked leaders who promised to keep their workers away from radical socialist ideologies. In 1948, Project CEDAR operatives successfully split the French General Confederation of Labor, creating a new pro-Western union called Force Ouvrière, O-U-V-R-I-E-R-E. A quote from Tom Braden, former CIA official. In the late 1940s and early 1950s, we were giving money to anyone who would stand up to the communists. We didn't care if they were former socialists or conservatives as long as they weren't taking orders from Moscow, end quote. Project CEDAR utilized propaganda pamphlets printed in multiple languages designed to look like organic worker-led publications, but written by agency staff in Langley. The declassified files reveal that the agency maintained a blacklist of over 5,000 European Union members who were targeted for professional sabotage or character assassination. Operatives in Project CEDAR were often trained in oratory infiltration, learning to speak with the specific regional accents of dock workers in Marseille or miners in the Ruhr Valley. The agency established secret strike funds that were used to pay workers to go back to work when a communist-led strike threatened to shut down a vital port. A quote from a 1952 field directive, the objective is to create a shadow labor structure that mirrors the communist one, but with its strings firmly held by the West, end quote. Project CEDAR established leadership seminars in the United States, bringing European labor leaders to American soil for education that was actually intensive agency vetting. Declassified records show that the agency successfully bribed several high-ranking Italian rail union officials to ensure that military shipments reached NATO bases without delay. Technological breakthroughs and counter-surveillance allowed CEDAR agents to hold secret meetings in crowded factory cafeterias without being picked up by Soviet microphones. The agency used micro-grants to help pro-Western Union members buy their own printing presses, ensuring that the pro-democracy message was always louder than the radical one. Operation CEDAR investigators found that the best way to flip a union leader was through financial entrapment, creating debts that only the agency could pay off. A quote from Irving Brown, AFL-CIO representative and CIA collaborator. "We are in a war for the minds of the people who make the world move. If the factory gate closes, the curtain falls. end quote. The declassified files document the use of social engineering to create local sports clubs and community centers that acted as recruitment hubs for pro-Western labor activists. Project CEDAR monitored the internal communications of the Soviet labor attachés with such precision that they often knew about a planned strike before the local workers did. Operational breakthroughs included secure pouch delivery systems disguised as industrial parts crates to smuggle cash across European borders. By 1955, Project CEDAR had successfully influenced the outcome of over 40 major labor elections across Western Europe. The declassified release reveals Project Ballot, a sub-operation where the agency printed thousands of counterfeit union ballots to ensure the right candidate won in key unions. Agency handlers utilized front-facing philanthropy to donate heavy machinery and safety equipment to factories where the union leadership had agreed to block communist recruiters. The declassified archives contain acoustic fingerprinting of European port noise, allowing CEDAR to detect the presence of unauthorized Soviet cargo ships by the sound of their winches. A quote from a declassified 1954 Paris station memo: "The worker cares about his bread first and his politics second. If we provide the bread, he will forget the manifesto," end quote. The agency developed vanishing ink for use on union membership cards, allowing undercover operatives to destroy their credentials instantly if searched by police or rival factions. Project CEDAR analysts pioneered narrative tracking, using early computing to map how quickly a pro-Western rumor could spread through a steel mill. As we dig into the CEDAR files, we hit a wall. A section labeled Sabotage and Suasion is blacked out for nearly 100 pages. What was the agency doing when money wasn't enough? Get ready for the theory of the union ghost. Speculation suggests that Project CEDAR didn't just infiltrate unions, it invented them. This theory posits that the agency created entirely fictional labor organizations, complete with thousands of member lists of workers who never actually existed. These ghost unions were used to flood the political system with fake votes and drain Soviet resources as the KGB tried to infiltrate people who weren't even real. What if the strikes were staged? A dark rumor suggests the agency paid both the workers to walk out and the police to move in. The speculation is that the redactions hide the riot scripts, detailed choreographies where CEDAR operatives started fights that allowed the government to declare martial law and arrest real communist leaders under the cover of restoring order. Is your retirement a lie? Some believe the redactions hide Project Nest Egg, where the agency seized control of massive European Union pension funds to bankroll black operations, and the black ink hides the empty accounts. Watch for the sleep worker theory. Gossip claims the redactions prove the agency used chemical additives in factory canteen coffee to make workers more suggestible during union meetings. And the black bars hide the dosage tables. Are the bosses even human? Fringe theorists suggest the blacked out pages detail Operation Mask, where high-level union leaders were replaced by look-alike agency operatives trained in Langley, and the black ink hides the facial mapping data. The gavel code rumor claims the redactions prove the agency used Morse code hidden in the sound of factory machines to communicate with deep cover agents, and the black ink hides the frequency logs. Is there a secret resource deal? Some believe the redactions hide evidence that unions were traded to corporations in exchange for direct agency access to industrial tech, and the black bars hide the company deeds. The human-robot theory claims the redactions hide Project Gear, where workers were conditioned to perform their task with such mechanical precision that they could be used to hide secret weapon assembly lines in plain sight. Did they clear the docks? Gossip suggests the redactions hide Operation Clean Sweep, where the agency worked with the mafia to eliminate communist dock workers, and the black ink hides the contract killings. Some whisper that the redactions hide the fact that the agency still runs several major European unions today, and the black ink is the only thing preventing a continent-wide general strike. Is the plumbing listening? Rumors suggest the redactions cover Operation Drain, a plan to install high-sensitivity microphones in factory pipes, turning every boiler room in Lyon into an agency's listening post. Some shout that the blacked-out pages detail Project Smoke, where truck drivers were unknowingly used to transport experimental psychoactive gases across the border, and the black bars hide the cargo manifest. Is there a secret in the sandwiches? Gossip suggests that redactions hide a program where hollowed-out thermoses were used to smuggle microfilm out of high-security French aerospace plants. The punch card plot posits that the agency manipulated factory time clocks to relay encrypted messages to agents, with the black ink hiding the time-stamped keys. Lastly, some believe the redaction describe a prediction engine that used worker attendance records to forecast political uprisings, with the black bars masking the uprising odds. Was Project CEDAR a success? Tactically, it was a landslide. The agency effectively blocked the Soviet attempt to weaponize the European workforce. They built a stable, pro-Western middle class that became the foundation of modern Europe. Strategically, it was a messy compromise. The declassified files show that by subverting the democratic process within unions, the CIA fundamentally weakened the very freedom they claimed to be protecting. They won the factory, but they turned the union card into a company spy badge. As far as technological and operational breakthroughs go, controlling a movement from the inside required the agency to master the art of the invisible hand. Shadow accounting, the development of complex shell companies to mask the source of millions in labor funding. Psychological profiling of masses, breakthroughs in understanding how to move a crowd using only opinion leaders. Covert printing tech, the invention of portable high-speed presses that could be hidden in a basement and moved in minutes. And infiltration ethics, the first formal agency guidelines on how to manage unwitting assets, people who do the agency's work without ever knowing they're on the payroll. Project CEDAR proves that the most powerful weapon in the world isn't a bomb. It's a paycheck and a charismatic voice at a podium. As the declassified files reveal, the blue-collar blueprint wasn't just about building unions. It was about building a world where the working man's anger was something that could be turned on and off, like a faucet at Langley. Thanks for listening. Please join us next time as we are going to examine Air America. The agency wanted a ghost fleet. We'll uncover the secret history of the CIA's secret airline in Southeast Asia. We'll look at the heroin highways, the invisible cargo, and the pilots who flew into the heart of the Vietnam War with no name on their tails and no records on their flight plans. Join us next time for the Sky of Shadows. In the meantime, I'll see you in the archives.